Now, for me, writing automated tests are great, but I've been working with this stuff for a really long time. Getting your mind around how foreign key works is, well, it can be really tricky, especially when we introduce a new concept that is related to foreign keys. I'm not going to talk about that yet, but instead what we're going to do is we're actually going to create some of these objects in the Python shell so we can see just better as to what's going on. So what I want to do is actually let's copy some of the test related data into a file that I'm arbitrarily calling shell.py. Now, I'm only doing this so I can test things, so you don't actually have to do this in the long run. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all the test case related things and just do, playlists, .models, import playlist. So the first thing that I'm going to do is actually just create a video itself. After that, we will go ahead and create a video and leave it just like that. Just really, really simple things here. Okay, so let's call this playlist A. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the Python shell. Bring down the Explorer there a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and run python manage.py shell. This, of course, is the Django managed shell, which means that I can actually do Django commands in it. If I don't use the Django managed shell, I cannot do Django commands in it for a number of reasons. Okay, so let's go ahead and import these things, and let's go ahead and create our first video object. Okay, so if I look in here, I've got video A. Okay, so you're probably like, well, that's nice and all, but what's actually the attributes to this? And if I do dir video, let's clear that out for a second, and dir video A and hit enter, I get all of this amazing stuff. It's probably a little confusing, but hopefully what you'll see are things that you already recognize. One of them being objects. Right? Objects is definitely something we've been using a lot. We just did it. Right? Another one being the save method. Right? Hey, what do you know? Slug, state, timestamp, title. Cool. So it's actually showing me all sorts of interesting things. Now, what it also has in here, or at least what it should also have in here, is the playlist set. Okay. So that is the foreign key relationship to the playlist model, or whatever the model name is, assuming that the actual model class that you're using is not the one with the foreign key, right? So in other words, if I actually created the playlist and take a look at this, let's create that and do dir playlist A, we shouldn't see video set, but rather just video. And sure enough, we do. And you're kind of probably confused that it says video ID as well. So that's certainly possible that we left in video ID, but I actually don't have video ID in here at all. So that's actually another feature of the actual foreign key. So if I look at that again, so playlist A dot video underscore ID, it gives me an actual video ID. Now, why is this? Well, if I look at video a.id, the video I actually used while creating this, it's actually identical to that. Now, this probably will confuse you with the actual video ID on the video model, right? It's confusing me as I'm talking about it. Right? So there's this video ID right here too. So what the heck? Should I actually even call this video ID? Well, I wouldn't actually call this video ID. Instead, I would call this something like embed ID, but I'm not going to change it right now. I just wanted to mention that that is something that is a little odd while you're doing this. And that's because of those foreign keys. It's because that these are now associated. So if I actually got rid of that video, so let's go ahead and do playlist. Let's cut this out and do playlist a.video equals to none, and then playlist a.save. And then now look at playlist video ID. It should be giving me nothing back. Okay. And then now if I look at video a.playlist set.all, it also will give me an empty query set of the actual playlist object. So this is actually a playlist query set, much like we've seen before with videos. We definitely did a lot with videos, but it gives me all of these things if they even exist. So going back into that shell, what we can also see then is if I add that video back to the playlist, so playlist a.video equals to video a, then I can go ahead and do playlist a.save. Now I actually have that video associated. So now the video playlist query set I should actually be able to get. So video a.playlist set.all. This should give me a query set with one single playlist in it. I hit enter, and sure enough, it did. It also has a playlist object with 4 in there. Of course, that's representing the ID. So I can actually do playlist a.id. What number should this be? 4. Okay. So something else that's cool about this is the fact that it is a query set. I can do another really cool thing on here and do .published. So published, just like that. And now it gives me 0 playlist items. So this query set is almost the same as saying qs.playlist.objects.all.published. It's almost like saying that, but what it's actually saying is playlist.objects.filter video equals to video a. Let's type that out correctly, video a, and then .published. This and this are the exact same query set. The biggest difference here, though, is this query set doesn't require the actual playlist model to be imported to have access to it because it has a reverse relationship. Each model can access the other model class and query set based on the properties of that foreign key. I think that's really, really cool. So I'm going to leave these in as reference on shell.py. I will literally get this whole thing that we did, put it in shell.py if you are so interested later. In fact, I'm not going to call it shell.py because I don't want this to be confused. I want it to be called shell.md, but you can absolutely change it to shell.py when you need to.